Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Mark again here, WeatherMan Plus. I would say good morning, but I wanted to wait before we had all the information that we needed. That way we know exactly what's going on with this hurricane. Because it will be a hurricane for a while. It is still Tropical Storm Zeta as of 10 o'clock this morning. That's Central Time. The newest advisory is still 70 miles per hour. 992 millibars on the pressure, but it's moving northwest at 10 miles an hour. So it is on the move. Another thing I want to add, the storm I talked about. A lot of y'all follow the storm I've been doing because a lot of these hurricanes I've been showing early have been showing up. That includes Hannah, let's see, Laura, Sally, Delta. I mean, we did a lot of hurricanes early, like 3 weeks early, and everybody mocking us. And then it comes in. The intensity and all that, of course, changes, but you still see a trajectory. Now, the one I did a while back, and I got bittered for it. I mean, it was on the 12th of October. I was talking about a major hurricane, Cat 2, that could be coming towards the Gulf of Mexico, towards Florida. It's happening. It's showing up on multiple models. I will update you on that as well. And we followed it all the way across the ocean. So it didn't make it past the wind shear. It is coming in the Caribbean, guys, and it will be an issue. I'll update you that in a minute. Let's get to the immediate right now, to tropical storm, soon to be Hurricane Zeta. Now, of course, according to the newest models out by NOAA, it does show that as far as your risk of flash flooding, in the yellow, you are in the slight risk. In the green, you are in the marginal risk because this storm is going to weaken greatly. It's possible for slight Hurricane Cat 1 impacts, but it's going to downgrade immediately down to 50 knot winds, and then it's going to carry over and get weaker as it goes on the 10 meter level. The upper level, as far as the 850 millibars to 3,200 feet, is still going to show a lot of strength. So this thing's going to carry strength all the way across. And if you see, this is the intensity, rainfall exactly from 1 to 5 days. The yellow is 4 to 6 inches. This is the area now that's looking like most of the impact of Mississippi. And then also the dark green, you have 2 to 4 inches. You have a couple spots of yellow right there for Georgia and North Carolina as well. And then all the light green is 1 to 2 inches. And then with the other storm system that's coming across, it's going to leave 2 to 4 inches all the way across up here. So there's going to be a lot of rainfall coming in soon, not just with this storm that we're dealing with. Now, the probability of tropical storm force winds, the biggest probability is 30% right here, where it stretches all the way out to the center of Alabama. And if you look at a darker orange, that's 50% chance. And as you go, it's 40. It just gets less and less towards the green. This big green section, you're in 20% chance of tropical storm force winds. That's because there will be some wind gusts you got to deal with. But here's a new track. Cones, as far as NOAA shows, it could be most likely on the edge of a Cat 1 hurricane on landfall. Somewhere within these cones, I'll show you the models so you can see everything, and still being a storm as it goes through across Alabama. Now, this first one that I show you, this one is from Cyclone Maps. It shows you all the cyclone locations that this could form up to. They can still show a couple of them could turn and do some kind of turning activity in the Gulf before landfall, but this is the majority of where they're expected for it to landfall at. Now, this right here is your precipitable water that you have for the Caribbean. That way I can show you everything that you're about to get, including over here in Jamaica. You're getting your water, but warning Jamaica, you do have potential impact from the next storm that's coming, because it's coming straight for y'all. And if you see up here in the dark blue, that's where you get to over 3 inches of rainfall. And then as it goes towards the Yucatan Peninsula, you see that it whips out and it gets into the purple, but right before landfall, it gets dark blue right around Cancun. And this also, if you look on the top right, the darker blue is 3.5, so this is more like 4 inches right there in that blue. And it stays as it goes across into a dark blue, so it will be heavy rainfall across the Yucatan. And this is according to the Euro model. I have the GFS model and Icon and other models as well to show you. And then as it goes across the Gulf, it strengthens and then it weakens on that last turn and then landfall. And then you have the cold front that pushes it through. Now, if you look over here, this is the wave that I've been following for quite some time now. And it's finally shown that it's going to come up in the Caribbean I'll say somewhere around the beginning of November. The end of October is what you're looking at now, is the 30th and the 31st. But right around the beginning of November, these cells starts popping off, everything starts forming up. And if you notice, and this is the Euro, and Euro don't pick up anything unless it really could be something, because Euro is more like a intensity guidance. It's better intensity guidance than GFS is usually. And you can see it packing up and growing in this big section right here. I got a better view for it in just a second. Now here's the one according to the CMC model. The CMC model shows that you're going to get heavy rainfall across the Cayman Islands. You're going to get up a little over 2 inches, almost 3 inches of rainfall. And then as it goes across the Yucatan Peninsula, it don't show that it's as heavy as the 4 inches of rain. It shows that it goes down to slight 3 inches of rain. So it shows a little bit less rainfall, a little bit less of impacts on that. And then as it weakens, goes across the Gulf, impact shows less on rainfall on New Orleans as well. There's no bright blues. And then as it pushes out, you see that the other states don't get that much rain. It just gets swallowed up by the dry air. Now, if you keep following it, you can see my next system that I was speaking of right here, coming into the Caribbean, you can see it starts making its way towards Jamaica. Intensity rainfall, that's over 3 inches of rainfall right there at that point. It goes past Jamaica, and it gets even stronger as it heads towards the Gulf of Mexico. There we go. That's 10 days out, guys. It's November 5th. That's your shot for November 5th. This big thing. Now, if we go to the Euro and I go look at the maximum wave height, it looks like so far for the Yucatan Peninsula, the maximum wave height is going to be closer. If you look up here on the right, you see the color scale. It's going to be around 30-something foot waves dead center. And the outer edge is going to be somewhere in the 25 to 28 foot range. This red is 22 foot waves. So as it comes around, the whole area of the Yucatan Peninsula is just going to be covered with rain and huge waves. And then as it goes across the Gulf and comes in towards Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the max wave height, if you look right here, gets up to 67 feet of waves right before impact. This is going to be something we really got to follow. So I got it in a viewer so we can follow it a little bit slower. And if you notice right now at the very beginning, the yellow that you see right here, the darker yellow, that's around 12 to 14 foot. So Jamaica, you're going to be having issues with 12 to 14 foot waves for a while. The Cayman Islands is going to be 12 to 14, even up to 16 feet. But then it's going to move away. And as we move away, we see that the Yucatan Peninsula does get impacted with the darker purple right here. Where if you look up here, that's closer to 36 foot waves. And then the darker red is 25 foot waves all in that area. So that's some serious waves that's going to be happening for a while. And all this yellow that you're seeing, the yellow and the slight yellow, just because it's not red don't mean it's not terrible. The yellow is going anywhere from 10 foot waves from the bright yellow to the darker yellow to the orange is 16 foot waves in this area. And you can see it here as well. I wanted to point that out because we're going to have that problem for the U.S. states as well, guys. And it shows as the waves moves in, it's going to be all the way from the Florida Panhandle. That's 10 foot waves with that yellow right there. And as it comes in more, it just more and more of the waves just build up. Now, if you want to know when these waves are going to hit, the time and dates right here in the top center is the 28th. It's at 3 o'clock in the morning. Then as it comes all the way in, you'll see that they stretch out all the way across Texas. And then these are the 10 to the 14 foot waves coming across right there on Texas. And that's on the 28th. That's at 2200. That's right at 10 o'clock at night. To do military time, all you do is subtract 12 hours. Now the hardest part of the waves looks like it's going to come in on the 29th, early morning, anywhere from 3 to 5 a.m. And then the biggest impact is going to be right there, right around 9 o'clock, because that's closer to New Orleans. It's none of it. If you look right before it, some of it gets blocked, like the big heavy parts get blocked off, and then it's just stuck with this. And then it moves all the way in. Now that purple right there, that's right at 40 to 45 foot waves. The red's 25 foot waves down to 22, which is huge. And then still got problems along Texas with 10 to 14 foot waves. And I wanted to make this point clear that there's going to be a lot of problems with wave height. So we need to watch out for that as well as storm surge. Then it moves over to Mississippi, Alabama. You still got the dark red here, and that's going up to 25 foot waves. And then as it pushes over, you can see it still carries 10 foot waves all the way across. And this is within 90 hours. With Florida still getting the 18 foot waves, all this dark yellow to bright yellow you see on the East Coast, as well as the Gulf, still in the Gulf, is anywhere from 10 to 16 foot waves. So I really wanted to make that clear about how dangerous these waves are going to be, guys. So do me a favor, if this is helping y'all, hit that like button for me, because last thing I wanted to do was just throw up a video for you guys and just get views. I wanted to get the information that could help you and do something. So I'm pretty much 5 hours late on when I usually put a video out, but it don't matter. The main thing to me, I mean, even above these storms, is I know that a lot of y'all that view it don't view the same way, but all I care about is just getting the word of God out. Y'all want to see these storms, so I'll give you what you want to see. But in the end, God does get his word. Amen. Now this right here, this is your cyclone, your EPS cyclone. So you can see, I'll play it. This is all the possibilities that the low pressures could take and the surrounding pressure areas around them as they cross over the Gulf and come into the States. And that's all tracks. Here's another view of the tracks. As you can see the low pressures. Let me slow that down some. So you can see exactly what goes on at where the possibilities could be. And this is EPS cyclones. This is all possibilities as it goes across and carries on. Here's a better view for you. A little bit faster, a little bit bigger so you can see. So you can see a little bit from a bigger view so you can see the whole country. Okay, you still got the storm system that's moving on the western. There it goes, and this one shows it goes way higher above. If you notice that, this one shows that it goes way high until central U.S. It starts getting a little more broader area of pressure right here, and it starts gathering up before it moves over to the East Coast. You see the strengthening? It don't even come that strong on shore. Then the pressure starts dropping and it starts strengthening on the way out. So we got to be aware of that, of being a tropical storm to the edge of a hurricane force winds possibility as it leaves, because some models have shown that as well. Now here's a Euro with your rainfall, so you can see from the top view of everywhere that's going to be impacted on the U.S. with this, as well as the dry air timing when it's going to move out. And this right here, you're looking at, this is 6 o'clock. This is 6Z. This is early morning on the 29th of October. Strengthens again when it gets over Alabama on the Thursday, and then moves offshore. Now this one right here, is your CMC model. Now let me show you what the CMC is going to show. It's going to show everything as far as the precipitation on what everybody's going to get. Now, when I go forward, you can see that the max precipitation that's going to be for the Yucatan is going to be somewhere over the 4 inches, with a possibility of spots up to 7 inches with that white. Then as it moves across the Gulf, you got Louisiana getting hit. You got the other system adding more problems to it, because the other system, if you look, it carries even more damage than this actually did. But anyway, anywhere on this map that you're looking at, you can see the color scale on the right. Pause it so you can read it, so you can see it. Cayman Islands look like you're getting over 3 inches, so be careful over there. And then as you go through, you'll notice that it starts building up again, and it gets big. Next 10 days, and you can see right here clearly Jamaica. You get in purple right there. That is very high inches of rainfall. And the purple over here, the darker is 10. The brighter purple, it gets up to 12 to even 25. I don't see the brighter purple here yet. But as you can see here, it's going to be a big rain event problem as soon as this other one comes through. It is a little bit of ways, but it is coming. Now the total precipitation for the Caribbean, you can watch here and you can watch it move through. If you watch right here, you'll see the next cyclone coming through the Caribbean, dropping a lot of precipitation, and it's just a beast of a system. It is bigger than the one we are dealing with now. Look at all that. Jamaica's full. The whole Caribbean is loaded. Could be some problems coming out of that, so we're going to keep our eyes on that. Now here's it according to the CMC model. So you can see the low pressure systems as it moves across the states. And I showed you the Caribbean model so you can see the next system that does come through. And it first pops up November 2nd. It strengthens to a hurricane. It heads right for the Gulf, 963 millibars by November 5th. Now the Euro model, when you go and look at the 10-meter winds to see the impacts of the damage, because Euro model is usually right on impacts, you'll see right when it gets to the Yucatan Peninsula, it gets around the 38 to 40 to 42 knot winds. Okay, so it don't show that it's going to be strong like a hurricane. It shows it will weaken before landfall. Certain models are showing strength, some are showing weakening. Then it goes back into the Gulf, it strengthens again, and it goes right there is the strongest point. That's where it gets up to 57 knot winds. And then it comes for landfall with 46 knot winds. So just so you know, 65 knot winds is hurricane level. And it gets close to it. It gets to 57 knot winds. But then when it comes to landfall, it drops down to 46, 37, and then 35. So it drops off pretty immediately. Then it goes off to the East Coast, gets back up to 41 knots, 43, 50 knots, and then moves away at 65 knots as a hurricane. Now that was the Euro, the 10-meter winds, the impact winds. Now, so you can see Texas, how far, or how close, I should say, it gets to you. You'll see that you don't get a lot from this storm. It does turn off, and it goes towards Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida area more than it goes towards you. I just wanted to point that out for people in Texas because they were curious. And the exact, if you go hourly by Euro, and now this is the 10-meter winds, it gets up to 82 knots. That's 82 knots right there. And as it goes across New Orleans into Mississippi, it's still 62 knot winds, so it's almost still a hurricane. But 82 knot winds, guys, that's heavy winds. It's probably a Cat 2 right there. Now, as we take the Euro hourly also and go in from the southeast, so you can see it from this different angle, so you can see what happens after landfall, since we see that Texas really don't get it. There it is right there, 82 knot winds. That is on Thursday, the 29th. Then it gets down to 70, 65, and you can see it up here in the top right corner. But you see what I'm talking about. As soon as it gets on land, 44 knot winds right there. As soon as it gets on land, all the other winds are 40 knot winds, 30 to 40. So it's going down to 34, 32. And that's why he's saying the tropical storm will go away when it gets right past Alabama. 32, then it goes down to 28. And the last shot we have is 28 knot winds. So I'm not showing it's going to be damaging as far as impact with the winds, especially as soon as it leaves Alabama. Now, this is Louisiana, the impact winds you're going to get. Now, if you see, you got the 57 knot winds, and you got 46 knot winds on impact. Now, you see how it's a little bit different. This is not hourly. This is every 6 hours. So within that 6 hour period, from here to here, it gets up to 80 knot winds. So there is going to be some intensification upon landfall. But it will go down quickly. That's what I'm showing so far. Like, it will go, as soon as it goes in town, it's down to 46 knot winds. But as we just saw in the hourly, in between this shot and this shot, it gets some intensity. Now, if you go through, this is, once again, not hourly. Again, we just did the hourly. If you go through and see what happens to Alabama and Mississippi, you see it goes down. It goes from 46 knot winds, this is according to the Euro, down to 20 knot winds. Then it goes away, 26 knot winds. Trying to be as quick as I can for you guys. Now, according to the GFS, this is the GFS for the 10-meter winds. It does show that the winds as far as the Cayman Islands gets to about 22 to 27 knot winds. So you don't have much to worry about anymore over there, as well as Jamaica. And then when it goes to the Yucatan, it shows that it goes across the Yucatan, and the max winds is 67.9 knot winds. Okay, so that's slight hurricane, because hurricane, like I said, is 64, 65 knots. But it does show that it goes down. It goes from 62 knots, 63, then 67, and then it goes down. 58 knot winds by the time it comes to the other side. But then it does strengthen again as it gets in the Gulf. Now, as it goes across the Gulf, we got to 74 knot winds already, 76 knot winds right before landfall, according to the GFS. And then it goes down to 50 because it's going to do a sharp curve from Louisiana to the Mississippi-Alabama border. And then it goes across and weakens. Now, if you go forward and keep watching the GFS, you can see that this is also picking up the storm I was talking about. And this is on November 5th, as the other model. And you see it down here starting to give problems for Jamaica. And you're already getting 38 knot winds on that yellow right there. Then it strengthens to the orange and the red, which you can see right here, the max that the storm has is 63 knot winds. Then it gets to 75 knot winds over Jamaica. That's a strong hurricane right there. And then it starts going northern, 79 knot winds. Then it goes down to 60s as it goes across the Dominican Republic and Cuba. And that's what we have so far as the update on that storm. But I will keep you updated as it gets closer. You know me. Now, as we go to the GFS and see what the impact is of the GFS, since it's showing different than Euro, it's showing that the max right here will be on October 29th on Thursday. It'll be 76 knot winds. Now, 76 knot winds is a strong Cat 1 hurricane. And then when you go to the next shot, it's down to 70, which is still a strong hurricane coming for the Mississippi, Alabama border. So it will be a strong hurricane from that one push from those 3 hours, from 63 hours away to 66 hours away, and then to 69 hours away in Mississippi. Then it goes to 70. It's still a hurricane. And then we check 3 hours later, it goes down to 50 knots immediately, gets knocked down to a tropical storm just within the next, that'd be 3 hours. So that's pretty good. It goes from hurricane to a tropical storm quickly. However, I don't like how it's a hurricane in the first place. Now, if we go over with the Alabama, Mississippi, and see exactly what happens after it leaves there, you'll see the 70 knot winds. It goes down to 50, and then it'll go down to 36, down to 33, and it just goes down immediately. And this is 10-meter winds. This is your damaging winds of what happens on our level. Now, this is the 1 hour load that I got for Louisiana, so you can see exactly what happens with the cycle. And according to the INSEP NAM, it's a little bit different information. It shows a sharp curvature, but it don't show that it goes on Louisiana, on New Orleans. As you can see, it barely even touches it as it goes by. So there's a possibility that it'll just do a real sharp curve, and Louisiana don't have anything to worry about as far as a hurricane making landfall on them. Now, if you go to the INSEP, of course, this the same model, the INSEP NAM, and go over to Alabama, Mississippi, where it looks like it's going to be landfall, you'll see that it curves and it only gets to 49 knot winds, and then 51, and then it does drop down to 46. So 51 knot winds, and it's showing right here, dead center, Alabama, Mississippi line, with more, of course, on the east side, which would be more for Alabama as far as impacts. Now, the Icon model shows something different as well. It shows that it will weaken greatly to 46 knot winds as it goes over to Yucatan. But as it goes across the Gulf and goes towards Louisiana, it's showing right there 59 knot winds. It's showing that it's going to be a strong tropical storm, and then weakening greatly as it goes across the country as 37 and 40 knot winds, and then in the northeast it comes out 40 knot winds. So some of the models are showing different information. That's why I wanted to show you the different types so you can see everything that goes on. Now, if I show you the Caribbean on the GFS, what happens to that storm that comes later on the 5th. Now, Jamaica, keep your eyes open. You can see that it starts building on you, and then it strengthens and it turns up. Goes out over Turks and Caicos, eastern Bahamas, and it goes out to the ocean and goes away. So we got to follow this to make sure what happens with that. I don't want that to sneak up on us. Even though I don't care if people hate me in the comments all they want, I'm always going to let people know as much as I can. Now, the icon model is most important, if you ask me, during this whole thing going on right now, because it's pretty accurate. So, in my opinion, it's showing that on Tuesday it's going to be 67 knot winds for Yucatan Peninsula, which is a slight hurricane, which is about where it's at now. So it's agreeing with NOAA. Then it's going to grow to 79 knot winds. Then it's going to stay 79 and go down to 70. So there's a little bit of weakening across the Yucatan Peninsula, but it will be a hurricane the whole time, because its most weakest point was 67 knot winds, and then next one it goes back up to 69. And 67 is still a hurricane. So I think it will be a Cat 1 hurricane, low grade, going across the Yucatan Peninsula, going across the Gulf. And then we need to find out whether it's going to do the sharp curve even sharper, because there's a chance that this curve that it does in the Gulf could curve even sharper and get the Florida panhandles. We got to make our eyes open for that chance. Now, if you notice the winds that are popping up, I know you see landfall over here, but if you look in Texas, you got a storm that brews up right around Thursday the 29th or the 28th, and those winds are strong winds. Like this landfall, this is 850 millibars up, so you can see these low pressures sooner before they touch ground. Okay, just 3,200 feet. So right above your 10-meter winds, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, is where you have 88 knot winds, which is even stronger. So this thing is not going to weaken. At the same time, if you look over here in Texas, also Arkansas, you can see that it gets up to 34 to 38 knot winds for y'all as soon as this gets even close, even though it's not even going to be landfall for y'all. Then it gets to 90 knot winds up in upper dynamics, and then as it goes on landfall, it drops down to 80. But if you look at all the winds that's coming over in Texas, they start getting up to almost 50 knot winds. And as it goes across, it stays 80 knot winds all the way through it. Some are 86, some are 77, but it's got an average of 80 knot winds in upper air dynamics as it goes through land. So this storm is not going to weaken as it comes across. It's not going to be hurricane ripping, but when it hits as a slight hurricane and then downgrades immediately to a tropical storm, it's going to be carrying tropical storm strength and high tropical depression strength all the way through this system. So there will be a lot of wind gusts and a lot of those issues. Now, this is the last one I have for you. I am trying to be quick, like I said, but like I said, it's most important to me that I get you the right information out. And I will be updating this like I always do twice a day. This one's a little later. I do apologize for it, but I know you'd be more thankful to have more accurate information rather than just throw anything up and show you 2 or 3 maps, because I have been seeing people do that, and that's pretty terrible, especially at a time like now. So do me a favor, if you have any loved ones, someone in these areas, please share this video. Let them know what the impacts will be, because that's why I go into detail with this, so people really can see what to expect. Now, this is according to the Euro model. This is your 10-meter wind gust. This is your impact wind gust. It's not just regular wind gusts. It's 10 meters. And this is the storm as it passes through. You can see it gets up to 90 knots max winds. That's in this white right here. Let's see if any of that gets on land. No. It looks like it's 84 knot winds. So there will be some serious wind gusts as this storm passes through. And this is what you got for Louisiana. Let me slow it down a little bit for you. This is for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. We'll show you the next one, which I do show for Mississippi. Let me slow this one down so I can show you for Mississippi and Alabama as well as it comes through. Now, if you look on this shot, it comes in with 50 to 70 knot winds, but it gets 84 knot winds, and you can see the number on the right, mostly for southern Mississippi. But this is the winds that this storm is going to bring. 81 knot winds. That is some serious wind gusts, guys. And this is on 10 meters. This ain't upper air dynamics. So y'all got to be a warning for that wind gust. This is going to be a serious wave and wind gust event. And this is what you got for Tennessee, Kentucky, and North Carolina. It gets up to 81 knots, 83 knots. There's going to be some strong wind gusts. And there's your numbers in your area. So please pause it and look at the numbers that you have for your area so you know exactly what's going on. Now this is also for Virginia. Here's the knots coming in through North Carolina and Virginia. And as you see, it weakens greatly. And this is only a 6-hour difference. It weakens greatly down to 40s on its way out. And that's the second low pressure that's leaving right there, doing some more 30s and 40s. Now the GFS, if you go hourly, you can see the storm in motion. You see exactly what's going to happen to it. It shows it getting down to 979 on landfall, right around Mississippi at 986. And if you keep going, you'll see the next system come in on the 5th, and it shows it getting down to 968, going right in front of Jamaica as it goes across Cuba into the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos. So just make sure you're aware of that. The GFS parallel, it shows a little bit different information. It shows it getting down to 983, so it still shows that it's going to be a hurricane going across Yucatan, so that is expected. But it strengthens down to 969 right by New Orleans and curves sharply into Mississippi, Alabama, and gets down to 980. Now, if you fast forward, this is a different model, picking it up again, but it picks it up doing a little dance when it gets closer to Dominican Republic as a tropical storm / hurricane. It's tropical storm. It didn't get hurricane effect yet. Then it shows that it gets down to hurricane right around there towards the eastern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and then it moves out to Atlantic Ocean. Now, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, I don't want y'all to get any effects, but I tell you what, that's a lot better looking than what I have seen so far on other models coming into the Gulf. Now, here's your ICON model. The ICON model shows it does go down to 998, which is a strong tropical storm for the Yucatan Peninsula. But then as it goes towards the States, it goes down to 983 and heads more towards the New Orleans area. 988 is still a hurricane. It's a weak one, but then it goes down to 993 and weakens as it goes across. An ICON model shows the low pressure coming into the Caribbean as well. I'll tell you, this next storm, it's not stopping. We've been following for a while. It hasn't stopped for a good long while. Now, this is a HWRF, so you can see exactly what goes on with all the models. The HWRF and HMON are good impacts as far as the modeling goes. It gets down to 990 for the Yucatan Peninsula. It stays strong all the way across the Yucatan. It weakens to a 994, which is tropical storm. Then it gets strong again going across the Gulf, headed towards New Orleans as a 985. It goes across Mississippi, it goes across Alabama, and when it gets across South Carolina and the Carolinas, it starts weakening. Now the HMON does show different. It shows when it gets to the Yucatan Peninsula, it gets down to 986, which is more closer to a hurricane, which is more what NOAA is seeing more of. But it weakens to a 996, which is a tropical storm on the other side. And then when it comes across the Gulf going towards Louisiana and Alabama and Mississippi, it comes to a 990. You see the shot before, 992 to 990. So there is a little bit of strengthening as it goes closer to the edge of Louisiana. I've shown lots of models that as it strengthens, this last bit right before it gets to Louisiana, there's a little bit of downgrade in strength, so that's a good thing. Here's a live shot of your storm now. If you can see over here, you can see all the rain bands that's coming off. Here's Jamaica right here on the bottom right. You can see this band of rain passing by east to west on Jamaica. After that, it's going to be clearing up, just so you know, Jamaica for a while before the next system does show up. But the newest thing that comes out today is it starts exploding, trying to get another formation, but it is moving now to the northwest. And you can see the direction that you're getting from the storm. And it still don't have a good center of circulation yet. But here's your better shot for as far as the rainfall for Jamaica. Here's Jamaica on the right. Let me turn off the wind barbs. We can see which way the wind's going. Right here, Jamaica. Here you are. And here's the band of rain passing by you. So it will be leaving you pretty soon. It won't be a long time. At the same time, you can see this storm building up, and you can see it trying to form. This sucker's getting strong quick. Here's a better view for you, Jamaica. This is your rainfall from these rain bands passing by now. You will see it will start clearing up for you, so that's a good thing. But we got to stay on top of this next system moving through. Now, the last two shots I have for you is one of the most important, if you ask me. Not only wind gusts, but the wave height that we're going to be having with this issue. This is your Euro model showing the waves. And if you notice, the color on the right, just so Jamaica, Cayman Islands, what y'all looking at, you're looking more towards 12 to the 16-foot wave. 16 is more like this darker color right here in between these two. And then it moves away and it stays around the darker orange, which is a 14-foot. This part right here for the Cayman Islands is 12, and then the brighter yellow, which you see around Jamaica now, because the rest of it left, and it's going to be for the Cayman, is 10-foot waves, which is still high waves. Now, as it goes towards Yucatan Peninsula, it gets a big height of 38.9 feet waves. And then the red right here is 22-foot waves. So I want you to state, I want y'all to pay attention because you're going to be dealing with this, especially with this yellow. The bright yellow is 10-foot waves, all the way to the darker yellow, which is 14 to 16-foot waves. Because we're going to be having that problem as well. Now, it's going to come right in the northern Yucatan. It comes right in there. It looks like right on Cancun. And then it has big waves all the way around it. Like I said, this red right here is anywhere from 22 to 25-foot waves. And the yellow goes down from 16 to 14. And the bright yellow is 10. And that's way on the outer edge. So everybody within this area, there's going to be some massive waves pushing through. And then as it comes towards us, by Wednesday, you're going to be seeing big wave heights for Alabama and Florida in this bright yellow. That's 10-foot waves already. And then you'll see it stretches all the way to Texas and Monterey and Mexico over here. And this is big wave height. This is more like the darker color of the 14 to the 16-foot waves for Texas coast, as well as Louisiana coast, Alabama coast, Mississippi coast, Florida Panhandle coast as well. The highest I show that it gets right before landfall is at 67.9 foot waves. But as impacts, it looks more like it gets a little closer right there for the impacts. And you'll see that it gets down to 63 foot waves. And then what you're looking at right there is 47 foot waves. And this is till Thursday. And then if you see the whole shot, the yellow, all this is all 16-foot waves in the dark down to 10-foot waves in the bright yellow. And that is a lot of problems for a long time. Then, as it moves towards Mississippi and Alabama, it goes the most impactful part, the ones in the center, gets to 33-foot waves still. And then as it goes towards Alabama, it's still at 26-foot waves in the dark red, 22-foot waves for the bright red. And then it still stays in the 20s. And this is all the way till Thursday the 29th. The system is already moving out, and now it's already given wave height problems for the East Coast. Now, East Coast, this is 12-foot waves. The bright yellow is 10. And you're still getting 18-foot waves in Florida, closer by Tallahassee. And you're still feeling effects of waves. I mean, this is going to be for a long time. Now, if you look at the accumulation of the rain, you'll see that this is the system starting now in the next 24 hours. This is Euro. This is GFS. GFS shows it goes a little further up. Euro shows it's more like a straight hit. Now, 3 days from now, it shows by Euro that it'll be going towards Louisiana, not quite hitting it yet. And it would have been dropping over 2 inches of rain directly for these areas. It would be over an inch for Felipe. But for Playa del Carmen, it's almost 3 inches. Espita is 3 inches. Now, if you go to GFS, it'll show that it already made landfall within the 3 days, and with 4 inches of rainfall for New Orleans. And then the impacts for Mississippi, you got Biloxi, Mississippi with almost 4 inches, Hattiesburg with 3.5 inches, and then it gets smaller as it goes away. Now, if you go to the 5 days, so you can see everything that happens, the GFS shows that the total accumulation for rain was still the same numbers for what I just read, but as it goes through the north, you got over 4 inches of rainfall just for Atlanta, with almost 3 inches for Birmingham, Montgomery. You can see your area. pause the video and look. And then here's the Euro effects of the rainfall within the next 5 days. I showed it already passed all of here. And then Meridian goes up to 3.5 inches. Birmingham is still showing you're going to get almost 4 inches of rainfall according to both models. And then you can see the area as it moves away. Also for the Northeast, for North Carolina, Virginia, you can see it gets real heavy. You could have another system moving across the central U.S. states. And in Columbus, you get over 4 inches of rain just from that alone. Dayton, you get 4 inches. But you can see the East Coast as it leaves. And according to the GFS, it shows it leaves a little sooner and turns sharper. And then the rainfall is more towards like this. But that's what I wanted to show you guys. I mean, I hope I wasn't too long with this. I think it was really important to get all that detailed information out for you. I think that's more needed than sitting there and talking and not showing you something. I'd rather show you more models than tell you any words at all. So God bless every single one of you. I hope y'all have a great day. I hope these impacts will stay on the lower end. I hope it gets even weaker for us. But like I said earlier, please do me a favor. Show some love. Hit that like button if this helps you in any way. And please share this to others, because that's the best way to get the word out on the information that I made. Now, I like to tell you all Psalm 41. Blessed is he that considereth the poor. The Lord will deliver him in time of trouble. The Lord will preserve him and keep him alive, and he shall be blessed upon the earth. And thou wilt not deliver him upon the will of his enemies. The Lord will strengthen him upon the bed of languishing. Thou wilt make all his bed in his sickness. I said, Lord, be merciful unto me. Heal my soul, for I have sinned against thee. Mine enemies speak evil of me. When shall he die, and his name perish? And if he come to see me, he speaketh vanity. His heart gathereth iniquity to itself. When he goeth abroad, he telleth it. All that hate me whisper together against me. Against me do they devise my hurt. An evil disease, say they, cleaveth fast unto him, and now that he lieth, he shall rise up no more. Yea, mine own familiar friend, in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread, have lifted up his heel against me. But thou, O Lord, be merciful unto me, and raise me up, that I may requite them. By this I know that thou favorest me, because mine enemies doest not triumph over me. And as for me, thou upholdest me in mine integrity, and settest me before thy face forever. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel from everlasting and to everlasting. Amen and amen. God bless you all today, guys. I hope you all have a great day. I care and love about every single one of you. I feel it back from y'all as well. So bless you, my brothers and sisters. I will update you later as impacts change. All glory does go to God. Amen.